Hey everybody, welcome to another rapid fire review, this time for Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy by Eidos Montreal and Square Enix. Now, I'm gonna be honest, the marketing for this game, paired with Square's last foray into the Marvel gaming universe, did not exactly have me hyped for this one. It just didn't look good. It looked linear, forced flat humor, and stunt double looking character design didn't have me pumped to play it.
These are not them! You've captured their stunt doubles! Search the area! Find them!
But I sat down and I played the whole thing, and I'm happy to report that Guardians of the Galaxy is pretty good, and I had a pretty good time with it. In a world of endless remakes, soulless facsimiles, low-effort cash grabs, AAA dumpster fires, and all manner of disappointing things, pretty good is, well, pretty good. I will take pretty good every day of the week. Life would be exhausting if everything was truly epic or egregious all of the damn time. Contrary to what PR people are paid to say, or what commenters on the internet angrily type, not all games are amazing or awful, terrible or a triumph. They aren't whatever made-up participation trophy high score IGN gives every game, or games so bad that the consoles red-ring themselves to put them out of their own misery. Most games lie in the middle, and that's where this one sits. It's currently written up as the best gaming experience that people have ever had in the history of ever, and a game so bad that people would rather bob for apples in a porta potty than look at ever again. And that's just not the case here. People feel the need to feed into the weird tribalism that everything seems to devolve into nowadays, and ruthlessly tear down things for no reason, or defend something as perfect or incredible that clearly has faults. It's like they're insecure about sort of liking something and thus need to defend it like it was their own creation. Alright, enough about other people's perceptions of stuff, and let's talk about why I think this game is pretty good. We'll start with the writing, the story, and the dialogue. The story for the game flows pretty well. It certainly gets a bit crazy, but I was expecting that in this franchise. It moves along well enough, and then it ended, and then it kind of started up again, and then it really ended, so be ready for that. We follow the team while they're out looking for morally and legally gray area scores, always looking for a way to make money between saving a star system or something. We touch on some more serious issues eventually from time to time, but most we get here is light, or it's made light with the interjection of humor.
Make a joke.
Make a joke. That's what Joe would do.
Reminds me of the last time I was stuck in an elevator. I was with this Shi'ar girl, and she...
Ew! What is wrong with you?
There's a lot of character dialogue with the team constantly chatting, and most of it actually works, though at times it can be a bit much. Sometimes there's so much dialogue that it bleeds into other bits of dialogue or conversations, and just kind of smashes together. But again, most of the time it worked well enough. These versions of the characters are a bit different from the movie versions, which is how I imagine the vast majority of people know them. But I like how they were handled. In fact, some of the characters, I preferred how they were handled here in the game versus in the movies. You all can argue in the comments about which is more faithful to which source material, or which is better, or whichever. I'll stay out of it. This writing is definitely guilty of some over-exaggeration of conflict, especially at the beginning of the game. I imagine it's there to give you greater context of how the team members are relating, but I feel it could have been handled better than it was. There certainly are some cringy moments that sneak in there, though. Rocket is unfortunately used to drive plot at least once, and is used as a cartoon-esque moody teenager. I get that Rocket is moody, and I don't have issues with the plot points as they flow, but it just stood out as the writing elsewhere had been more organic, and this felt like some CW show trash. But as quickly as the bad drama ramps up, it's resolved, and we move on. So we aren't really forced to wallow in it. The gameplay for Guardians of the Galaxy is, it's fine. It's not great. It's not even good, or even pretty good. The actual game aspect of this game is honestly pretty disappointing. The combat has you control Star-Lord, and just Star-Lord. It lets you give orders to the other team members who can then do special attacks or abilities on the timer. There are upgrades, new abilities, and a huddle mechanic for some damage boosts. It's not the worst team-based combat we've ever seen, but it feels underbaked. I would have at least expected something on the Final Fantasy XV or Final Fantasy VII Remake level of combat. This is a $60 AAA game, and it's probably only 15 to 18 hours long. I expected more and honestly deserved more for that price. As for level design, everything is mostly corridors connecting battle arenas. There are minor, and I do mean minor, obstacles on the way, If you can figure out which team member would be best suited to fit inside the hole in the wall that's shaped like a space raccoon, you'll be fine. There's minor exploration as well, searching for upgrade doodads or costumes, but even calling it exploration doesn't feel appropriate. More like those Easter egg hunts people do for toddlers, the stuff just laid out in the open or barely obscured. Just make sure you act shocked when Star-Lord finds one. I did appreciate how many cosmetic options were just lying around for your team. It was so nice to see them all over the place and not behind some live service paywall, so they definitely get some credit for that. There are also notes left lying around, giving you greater story context, which I always like to see in games. The graphics are fine, ranging from barely acceptable to okay most of the time. The voice acting, though, is all excellent.
If we wait for the next reset, we'll get a full rotation to do this. Nice.
Oh, why's the Novanet still up? Thought we were going in.
It appears the assassin's contacts are as untrustworthy as the betrayer herself.
The sound design seems competently put together as well. The soundtrack, though, is where I have issues quantifying for review purposes. This game has an absolutely stellar soundtrack, if you don't play on streamer mode. Now, I appreciate them adding a streamer mode to the game, but it feels awful to enable it. So many scenes are made much worse with the generic 4-chord garbage that has none of the sweet feelings of nostalgia as the 4-chord garbage and other hits we all love from the 80s. Now, they did pay to use these songs, but how much credit can I actually give them for just putting them in the game? In the end, the experience with Guardians of the Galaxy was, again, pretty good. The story, dialogue, and soundtrack carried what was honestly subpar gameplay. So for $60 and only 15-ish hours of content, whether you think this is a good pickup will be dependent on your interest in a more story-driven game that's chock full of 80s music and references, whether the Guardians of the Galaxy-style humor resonates with you, and if you're willing to play the most bare-bones type of combat. For me, I'm going to give Guardians of the Galaxy the above-average score of 6 out of 10. I ended up enjoying the game. It wasn't great, but it made for a pretty good time. And again, nowadays, pretty good is pretty good. Thanks so much for sticking with me to the end of this rapid fire. If you'd like to see more of these, let me know what types of games you want me to cover in the future in the comments. And as always, we shall see you next time on The Angry Joe Show.